Hello guys, how are you? Welcome back to SEDA College online for one more time. I'm really glad to be with you again today, and I'm very excited that so many of you were here in the previous classes. I hope you had fun and enjoyed it. So, I'll just give you a few minutes again to tune in. I want to tell you that I really want you to be active, try to interact with each other in the comments, in the live chat, and I'm there to answer all your questions, right, guys? So, I don't know how you feel today. I feel really great, and I want to introduce you a little bit to the topic of today's lesson. Now, I will say a few words and try to think of what is the topic. One of my words is vampires. Another one is aliens. Let's think of something else. What about psychic? Did you get an idea about what we're going to talk today? So our topic is, as I think you guessed, paranormal activities. And these are just a few things that might come in mind when you think about paranormal activities. I don't know if you believe in them or not. Some people are skeptics, others are believers, so it's your choice. But today we're going to focus on a specific part of paranormal activities, and this is the UFOs. What is paranormal first, though? According to Oxford Learner Dictionaries, the definition of the adjective is something that cannot be explained by science or reason and that seems to involve mysterious forces. So if you think about it, what we define as paranormal might just be something we haven't been able to explain yet, and in a few years it might not be paranormal at all. And what is my focus specifically? Today we are going to start with a video reading, guys. I know that when you think about reading, usually the first thing that comes in mind is a text on paper or a full article online. But nowadays it has become more and more common for people to actually do video reading. So what is that? I'm sure that when you scroll down in social media, you have seen many videos from newspapers, from websites, where you might have some background music and images, but there is no narration. The text is just written there. And this has become so popular, but it's a very uncommon type of reading. But it's a great opportunity for you to practice that today. And usually my students tell me that it's very difficult for them to read a text really fast and just focus on the keywords. So if there is an exercise about scanning where I ask people to take 10 seconds and find the keywords, guess how long it actually takes? More than that. So these videos are great practice for you because you don't actually have the time to read more intensively. You need to read fast because the text keeps moving. So, in order to engage you in this video, I have 3 questions. You see the title is How We Became Obsessed with UFOs. It's a 4-minute video. And while you are reading, I want you to think of the answers to these questions. Take a look here. You can see them. I have already underlined a few keywords for you, but it's good to always do that on your own. Underline the keywords. Okay, so you see the first question, during which years was there an excessive fascination about UFOs? What are some underlying reasons that brought UFOs to the center of attention. And if you're not sure what underlying means, it's the reasons that are not in the surface, the reason in the background. And the last question, which are some logical explanations about some of the phenomena observed? So, are you ready to read this video? Okay, let's start, guys, and just focus because it's gonna move fast.
A brilliant white light coming from over my shoulder here.
It was a very dazzling, brilliant occurrence.
It just came right up beside me, and I felt a tug on my trousers.
Alright guys, so I hope you found the answers, because we are not going to watch a second time. The point of this exercise was to practice your scheming and scanning so that you can focus on reading fast and finding the basic information. So there is no point in reading it again. So let's take a look at the answers together, okay? Now here is our first answer and question. The years during which there was an extreme fascination about UFOs was the 1952 to 1969. You could also say the Cold War years. And about our second question, what are some underlying reasons that brought UFOs to the center of attention? Some of them are maybe a distraction from the Cold War. It could be possible. Maybe some unknown at that time military technology, so people would see something and they wouldn't know what it was because they were not aware that the technology existed. Or maybe was it on purpose done to shift attention from terrestrial tensions, from earthly tensions? Some people here think that maybe popular culture also helped, but I wouldn't say that this is an underlying reason, like in the background. I think that this was the obvious one. And let's take a look at the third question. Which are some logical explanations about some of the phenomena observed? It's the re-entry, maybe, or launch of satellites and weather balloons, meteorites, light pollution, and at that time unreliable radar equipment. So I hope you could find some of them, if not all of them. But I think that's a good practice, and this is my tip for you. When you actually find a video on social media that is a video reading, try to focus on that. It's a really good practice, guys. Before we continue, I just want to remind you again that you can write all your questions, all your comments, okay? Do not hesitate. I want you to be really here with me. And moving on, I will use the same video this time to focus on something different. Because when you're reading, vocabulary is also really important. And there might be vocabulary that you are not familiar with. There might be vocabulary that you don't remember. So here I will give you a list of words. You can see them here. The first word is celestial. The second one, rival, flourish, boom, raging, launch, and fluctuate. Okay, and we'll focus on the pronunciation a little bit later as well. So all these 8 words are mentioned in the video, and what I want you to do is just focus on how they are used in the sentence and try to think what they mean when you see them in the sentence. Alright, guys? So this is your task. Focus, find the word, think what it might mean. Ready, guys? Alright, let's start.
A brilliant white light coming from over my shoulder here.
It was a very dazzling, brilliant occurrence.
It just came right up beside me, and I felt a tug on my trousers.
Okay, so at some points I know it might have been a bit fast, but I hope you found everything, alright guys? And what we're gonna do next, in order to help you a little bit, I will also give you a list of meanings. Here it is. So you can take a minute, think about what you just read, and then look at the meanings on the slide and try to match them. If you want, again, you can write down your answers, of course, in the comments, like 1D, 1E, 1F, whatever. And we'll talk about it together. So you can start doing that. And while you're doing that, I will pronounce the words one more time so that you can focus on the sounds, okay? So the first one would be celestial. You have E sounds in the beginning, celestial, okay? And it's not a K, it's a S. The second one is rivalry. So your sound here is I, rivalry. Number 3, seep. And I just want you to focus on the fact that you have a long sound here, a long vowel, a long E. Because if you say sip, for example, what does sip mean? S-I-P, it means to take a sip from your tea. But seep has a different meaning. And don't confuse sheep and seep. Okay, different words, guys. The next one would be flourish. So the O-U has a sound ah, flourish. Then we have boom, raging, so you have an A, ray, launch. Okay, so your A-U is an O sound, launch. And the last one, fluctuate. So the first syllable is an A, fla, and then the T sound is a ch, fluctuate. Okay, so let's see what you did, if you found the meanings. Here is the answer key. So, celestial is G, related to the sky. Celestial object, a celestial being. Rivalry is enmity. I'm not sure if you are familiar with the word, but I'm sure you are familiar with the word enemy. Enemy is the adjective, enmity is the noun, guys. The next one, seep, is E, to enter very, very slowly. But generally keep in mind that we use seep usually for porous surfaces, like water seeps into a cloth or a material. In that case, though, in your reading, it's used metaphorically, like the information seep into our brains, like kind of brainwashing. Flourish is the next one, and we have the meaning of increase. Boom is H, grow rapidly. Now some people tell me, okay, what's the difference between flourish and boom? It seems very, very similar. It is very similar, but boom is, as you see in the meaning, a rapid growth. So it's not stable and gradual. You start from 0 and you go to 100 really, really fast. And then we have raging, number 6. It is something that is continuing in a very, very intense way. I'm not sure if you know the word rage. It means anger. But here, in this text, we don't have the meaning of being angry. We're talking about the Cold War raging, so it continues very forcefully and very violently. Our next word is launch, and it means to set in motion. I think you would know that the root of the word is from Latin, So it is probably very similar in many languages that have Latin as a basis. And fluctuate means to be rise and fall irregularly. Okay, so there is not a stable increase or a stable decrease, there is a fluctuation. How was that? And again, if you are not sure about something or if you want extra information, write your questions in the comment section or in the live chat, guys. And if you're ready, we're going to do something a little bit different now. We're going to focus on auxiliary verbs and specifically on the different meanings that auxiliary verbs can have in a sentence. These are some of the meanings that an auxiliary verb can be used for. Some of them can be used to show agreement. Others can be used to show interest, surprise, or irony. Others can be used for emphasis. And others can be used just to show confirmation. So I have prepared a dialogue here related to UFOs, of course. And I will give you a minute to read through it and just focus on the meaning, guys. I have highlighted the auxiliaries that I want you to focus on. And I want you to think which one shows agreement, which one shows emphasis, etc. So take a minute to read that. And generally, remember that while you're reading, it would be good, especially if you're alone now, it would be good to read out loud because the way we pronounce it, the intonation of the words, can really, really help you understand the meaning better. And we're going to see it after you finish this task. So let's take a look together. So the first auxiliary is can. I can't understand, neither can I. So what do you think this shows here? Is it agreement, interest, emphasis, confirmation? Yeah, it's agreement. You agree that I can understand? Yeah, I can't understand too. I totally agree with you. And the second one, you say, I have a friend who is a believer. Do you? So what do you think that shows? I think my intonation may have helped here. So keep that in mind. We'll focus on that later. Yeah, it shows interest, surprise. Like, really? Do you have a friend who is a believer? Wow. And then in your next sentence you have, he says he was abducted by aliens. I will not pronounce that. I'll pronounce it later. But I think it's clear that, again, you have kind of interest, surprise, irony in the question. And look at the next one, though. The next one is a very common, actually. Some students find it difficult to see how it's used, but it's very, very common. I don't know, I mean, he did have a sudden personality change. So what do you want to show when you use this? He did have a personality change. Do you think it's agreement now? Or interest? No, you're right, it's confirmation. So I confirm that this might be true. And look at the next one. So you think he might be telling the truth, don't you? Take a minute to think about that. Is it agreement, emphasis, confirmation? And if you see there is a statement before the actual question, you think he might be telling the truth. So I just use don't you to confirm what I already believe is happening. Okay? And the last one, I try to keep an open mind, so do I. So I think that's a clear agreement. And then we will focus again on the same dialogue, but we will do a little bit of intonation practice. I will read the dialogue for you. And I want you to try and also read it out loud or repeat after me and focus on how I focus on pronouncing the specific auxiliaries, okay? So, let's start. I can't understand all those people who are obsessed with UFOs. Neither can I. But I have a friend who is a believer. Do you? And what did he tell you? He says he was abducted by aliens. Was he? I don't know. I mean, he did have a sudden personality change. So, you think he might be telling the truth, don't you? I don't know. I try to keep an open mind. So do I, but this goes too far. So you can see the intonation, how much emphasis we give here in the auxiliaries. If you were here a few classes before that, you remember that we saw auxiliaries in questions, like what do you do? What do you like? And we said that at that situation, maybe auxiliaries are not very important to stress. For example, I would mostly focus on what and like. What do you like? But in this case, you really need to stress your auxiliary. Neither can I. Do you? Was he? I mean, he did have a sudden personality change. Don't you? So do I. So remember, when you're using this, it's a good idea to focus on the intonation, guys. Okay, and I just have a last thing for you before we continue. This is an overview of what we've talked about in relation to auxiliaries. You have so and neither with the auxiliary to show agreement. You see the dialogue, I understand, so do I. So you agree that you both understand. But look at the negative one. I don't understand. Neither do I. So again, you agree with an agreement, but you agree on a negative statement. Then you have examples that show interest, surprise, irony. Okay. I understand. Do you? Imagine that you are the worst person in relation to math. I don't like math myself. So if I say to my best friend that I understand math, they'll probably say, do you? Really? It's very surprising. Or if you are the best in math and you say, I don't understand, people might look at you with disbelief. Don't you? I'd expect you would understand everything. And then we have the emphasis with auxiliaries in positive sentences. Okay, look at this concept that we have here. I'm sure you didn't understand. And then you're trying to defend yourself. You're wrong. I did understand. And our last case is the tag questions, where you have a comma, an auxiliary verb, and then the subject. Okay, you understand, don't you? To show confirmation. And I just want you to remember that in that case, you see, if you have a positive verb, you understand, then your auxiliary becomes negative. You understand, don't you? And if the opposite happens, if you have a negative verb, your auxiliary becomes positive, like you don't understand, do you? So keeping that in mind, I want you to do some practice on your own. I want you to take a look at this picture. I will set the scene for you. I have written a dialogue for you to practice. And imagine that you are listening or reading the conversation of three siblings, three brothers and sisters. They're watching a horror film and they're talking about how afraid they are or how not afraid they are. And they're using a lot of auxiliaries while they're doing that. So, this is the dialogue. I want you to take a minute first and just focus on the meaning, on the situation. Okay? You're scared, aren't you? Yes, so I don't like horror films. Neither. And you see, so far you have A, B, A, B, A, but now the third person comes in the dialogue, the third sibling. Okay? I can watch them all day. Really? Last time you watched one, you didn't sleep. Sleep? I was perfectly fine. So then you'll watch this film until the end. We'll just go to sleep. You are not afraid? So try to think about the answers for a moment there. And you see that in order to help you, I have also written in bold the auxiliaries that are there to help you. Like if you have you are scared, aren't you? I don't like is going to help you find the next one. Didn't sleep is going to help you find the next one, etc. So focus on these keywords while you're thinking about it. And of course, again, don't forget to write comments. Don't forget to participate in the live chat, guys. Try to be active and try to make the most of it. So let's see the few first that you might have time to take a look at. You're scared, aren't you? So here, if you focus on the verb above, what do you think? I need do, have. Which auxiliary do we need? Yes, you see that you have are scared. So here we are using the verb be. I am scared. You are scared. So the answer would be so am I. I don't like horror films. No, your auxiliaries don't. So you agree with that. Neither do I. And then you have the third person coming who does not agree with you. So he says, I do. I do like films. I can watch them all day. And answering to this statement, you reply in surprise. Do you? Last time you watched one, you didn't sleep. But then the third person tries to defend themselves, saying, I did sleep. I was perfectly fine. So then you'll watch this film until the end. You see, you have will. You will watch it, won't you? You're trying to challenge the person. We'll just go to sleep. You're not afraid, are you? And here you can see the answers as well if you missed them. Okay. But generally, it's a good idea to use these different types of auxiliaries. Don't just use them in normal questions. Try to have a variety. And I know it might be a bit challenging in the beginning, but the more you practice with that and the more you see how easily, how commonly they're used, I think you'll try to use them more. Okay, guys, and our last activity is I will just give you a minute to try and write your own dialogue. It doesn't have to be a long one, it could be 2 lines, A, B. But just try to use any type of auxiliary we saw. I'll go back to the dialogue to help you. Just write A, B, and you can also post it on the comments or on the live stream, okay? So I'll just give you a minute about that. It can be any topic if you want. You don't have to stick to our topic of paranormal activities. It can be any 2-line dialogue that comes in your mind. Like, I don't like chocolate. Don't you? Weird. I do like chocolate, by the way. And so if you're still writing, you can still post your answer on the comment section. And I just want to remind you guys what we learned today, a recap. We learned about video reading, we practiced scheming and scanning, and remember to do video readings. Nowadays, it's everywhere. We saw vocabulary related to our topic, and we practiced understanding meaning from the context and guessing the meaning of the words. We saw different uses of auxiliary verbs, using them for emphasis, for confirmation, and of course, we focused on pronunciation, intonation of auxiliary verbs, as well as stress and sounds of the vocabulary we saw. And you practice writing a short dialogue using the auxiliary verbs. So remember, guys, until next time that I'm gonna see you, the truth is out there. And please be here next time. I'm really glad you've all been with me. See you guys. Bye bye.